Hey there, YouTubers. This is Luis from On-Site Towing and Recovery in Middletown, New York. So 2018 is here. It's the time of rebirth, renaissance, start fresh, start new. If you're a new business with positive vibes and plans for the new year that's ahead of us. So first and foremost, I want to thank all my subscribers that have been subscribing and reaching out to me. It means a lot to me. It means my videos are being watched. And thank you. But I noticed one thing since the new year has started. I've been getting a lot of questions in regards to getting into the business. And this time of year it's common for businesses to open up and start because it's the start of the new year and spring's around the corner. So it makes sense, let's open up, grand opening January 1st, and let's go to the races. So I've been getting a lot of questions and guys inquiring and asking me about the industry and what they should do and what kind of truck they should buy. And, I appreciate it. I appreciate the people coming to me for advice and keep it coming. My advice is free for the time being. I've been getting a lot of questions, so I don't know. I'm kind of looking at doing some kind of consultation job on the side. I don't know yet, but so I've noticed that everybody that calls ends up asking me about the truck that they're buying. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I've noticed that a lot of people are just fixated on the price of the truck. And when you're coming into the business, you need to figure out up front when you're doing your business plan what your fixed expenses are going to be. And what I mean by fixed expenses are your bills that stay the same every month. Your truck payment, insurance payment, if you're renting a yard or a space, that's fixed expenses. And, nobody seems to really be looking into what the insurance cost is going to be. And I'm going to stress that before you even look at a truck and pull the trigger on the truck, insurance is one of the things you need to look at first. We are in a high-risk industry. And this is stuff that I'm learning over the last few years. There's a lot of industries that are high risk and the insurance premiums are through the roof. Towing, guys that are into logging, tree work, roofing is a high risk industry. I guess there's a lot of injuries and stuff. And the same with towing. We're out on the highways helping people, and it seems as if lately we've been getting more and more tow truck operators have been getting killed more frequently. So it falls into a high-risk industry. And the reason why I say you need to look into insurance before you look into a truck is because as a new business, your insurance premiums are going to be through the roof. And they're going to require a large down payment. And I've noticed a lot of insurance companies now are requiring 30% down. And they're doing that because it's a deposit that they're going to keep in the event a month into your business venture you say this is not worth it. They keep that money. I guess there's a big turnover rate in the towing industry, so they're requiring large down payments. Second of all, your annual premium is going to be extremely high because you're in your first year of business. And it's going to be like that for the first 3 years, unfortunately. And it's very crucial that you stick it out the first 3 years, because once you hit the third year mark, your insurance premium should decrease dramatically. But that's not always the case. If you're putting in claims, if your truck is constantly being issued violations by Department of Transportation, those are stuff that they look into as well. And they're looking into it even more. So, take that into consideration. Make sure your truck's in good running equipment, it's in good performance and road legal, because every time you get stopped and you issue the violation, that gets updated into the system, and now the insurance companies are using that to their advantage to decide what they should charge you as a premium. Now going back to fixed expenses. So once you figure out what your insurance premium is, factor in your truck payment and factor in your rent. And I'm going to use my numbers for instance, and my insurance premiums just went up I don't know if you saw my last video, but my insurance carrier dropped me with no damage claims. Been with them for 3 years. And they just said, you know what, we're not going to continue insuring in New York State. Unfortunately, we're not renewing your insurance. So I had to go price shopping. And I'm in New York. And in New York, everything is sky high. Running a business in New York is very, very expensive. So I'm going to give you my numbers. And FYI, my insurance premium last year was $12,000 a year for 5 pieces of equipment. This year, it jumped up to $16,000 a year for 2 pieces of equipment. So I downsized considerably just to make ends meet. So my insurance premium for the year is $16,000. I've got $30,000 a year in truck payments, and then I got $27,000 a year in rent. So that totals to $73,600. Now, you know, yours is obviously going to be different. So you need to take your number and divide it by 365 days for the year. And my total amount came out to $201 per day. That is what I have to make to just break even and pay those expenses off. What I also do is I also tack an additional 35% of that onto that number for truck repairs and truck maintenance. So those are just fixed expenses, and you can see it's a bit when you're first starting out. If your truck ain't moving for that day, you're out $201. So it's very crucial that you sit down and you plan ahead, because one thing I hate hearing is businesses failing, and it does happen quite often in this industry, in the automotive industry. And the reason being is, you know, there's a lot of good providers out there, but not good business people. It's the same thing in the automotive industry. I know a lot of good mechanics. That can fix any car that comes through the door, but they've got poor business skills. They got poor customer skills, and that's where they suffer. You know, fortunately, me, I went to business school. I went to SUNY New Paltz, and I studied marketing, so I kind of know a lot about the ins and outs of businesses and breaking down the cost of operations and figuring things out and whatnot. But you know, these are the first steps that you guys should be taking if you're looking into a business. It doesn't necessarily have to be towing. This can apply to anything. You need to know what you're up against. You need to know what your break-even point is. You need to figure out what your profit margins are going to be, and just don't be afraid to break it down, to the smallest, variables. You should know how much your truck is burning in fuel when it's running down the road at 65 miles an hour, when it's sitting there idling. You should figure out how much you're spending on equipment per year and factor all that in. But this is just a baseline, kind of a foundation for you to work with, because especially if you know nothing about the industry, you're going to dive into this not knowing a damn thing, and you're just going to set yourself up for failure. And you've heard the saying, those who don't plan to fail. And that's very true. So sit down, break down your expenses. And of course, I got a truck payment here. And I always advise that if you're getting into a business, buy everything that you can outright cash. Because at the end of the month, to be honest with you, a truck payment sucks. And trucks are not really a good investment because they depreciate in value over time. So if you can, buy whatever truck you're looking at, try and buy it cash and save that money on the interest, and that's more money in your pocket. And to be honest with you, if I didn't have a truck payment, I'd probably be around $135 a day for the break-even point. Also take into consideration that age plays a huge factor in insurance premium. And in this industry, if you're below the age of 26, I would personally say hold off until you hit that age, because you're going to get hit really hard with the premiums. That's one thing why this year all my drivers that I'm going to be hiring are going to be over the age of 26. Because under the age of 26, you put them on the policy and your rates go up as a business owner. That sucks. So take your age into consideration. You don't want to be running yourself to death, running your equipment down to the point where you can't afford to fix it just to make ends meet. Also, too, another thing that insurance companies like to see, it obviously good driving record, but if you've taken a defensive driving course, that always helps. Newer trucks, I also tend to see that they cost more to insure than the older trucks. So look into buying an older truck. I remember my International 4700s. I've had a few of them. I had a 96, a 98, and a 99. And they were significantly cheaper to insure than my Dodge 5500s. I don't know the reason why. The Dodge 5500s have a bunch of safety features. They have airbags where the Internationals don't. Could be because the replacement value is a lot higher, considering that Dodge 5500s for a rollback right now, a new one is about $70,000. My four-door Dodge 5500 wrecker can go over $100,000, so that could be the reason why. And that's it, man. And just do as much research as you can. If you're starting a new business, go around, see how many tow companies are within a certain radius, find out what they're charging. Look into the population, look into what the median income is. These are all things you need to factor in when you're diving into a business, because like I said, if you're not planning, you're planning to fail. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Appreciate you guys watching. Hit like and subscribe. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments or shoot me an email at onsitetowing14@gmail.com. And once again, this is Luis from On-Site Towing and Recovery in Middletown, New York. And Happy New Year.